At the outset only, I would like to thank Amravati OBGY Association and AMOGS for giving me this opportunity. So my topic is spontaneous fetal-maternal hemorrhage. We all are well versed with what happens in RH isoimmunization. There is fetal-maternal hemorrhage leading to anti-RH antibodies, cross-placenta, destruction of fetal RBCs, fetal anemia, fetal hydrops. So we are not going to discuss this. Let's see a case scenario. She was a 24 years old primigravida with gestational age 36 weeks, 1 day. No any medical or surgical risk factors, blood group ORH positive. She came for routine growth monitoring scan, which was within normal limits. Here you can see the fetal survey was fairly acceptable with AFI 17.6, fetal heart absolutely fine, umbilical cord fine, placenta fine. Fetal biometry fairly acceptable, estimated fetal weight around 59 centile. Doppler showing umbilical PI 10 centile, MCA 36 centile, CPR fairly acceptable. These are the waveforms: middle cerebral artery showing adequate systolic flow, umbilical artery showing adequate diastolic flow. Then why are we discussing this case if everything was fine? So what happens next? She comes back after 4 days with complaints of decreased fetal movement. We all know decreased fetal movement is the commonest complaint a lady comes to you during pregnancy. So as a protocol, we advised her admission. NST was done, which showed basal heart rate around 170, 180 beats with very poor variability, as good as a straight line NST showing small decelerations, and which was interpreted as sinusoidal pattern. Emergency LSCS was done, 3.1 kg female baby was delivered. At birth, baby was extremely pale and limp, Apgar score 2. Baby required extensive resuscitation. Baby's hemoglobin was 4.5 gram %. Postnatally, baby was given 2 PCV transfusions. Baby required 7 days of NICU stay and baby was then discharged. So commonest complaint during pregnancy is decreased fetal movements. In this case, growth, Doppler were perfectly fine. So then did we miss something in this case? Let's see. We'll go to the topic now. What is fetal-maternal hemorrhage and is it significant in RH positive mothers? We all are used to only RH negative mothers and fetal-maternal hemorrhage. So a simple definition is entry of fetal blood into maternal circulation before or during delivery. And we label it spontaneous when there is no antecedent history of trauma and no clinical or histopathological evidence of abruption. Most of these hemorrhages are small volume bleeds without any hemodynamic significance, but they can still lead to alloimmunization. And most important factor, frequency and volume of these hemorrhages increases as the gestation advances and is maximum at delivery. So just remember this point, which we'll discuss in next few slides. Now when we will label it as massive fetal-maternal hemorrhage, there are various definitions, but the commonest accepted is 30 ml to 150 ml. Few authors have defined it as 10 ml to 80 ml also, but the upper limit is fixed 150 ml because no fetus can survive if it loses 150 ml of blood during intrauterine life. Quantitative definition, when fetal-maternal hemorrhage is more than or equal to 20% of fetal blood volume, because it is associated with fetal morbidity and mortality. But clinically, we cannot measure the percentage of fetal blood volume which is lost. So another parameter is added, that is when FMH is associated with MCA PSV more than or equal to 1.5 mom, because it correlates well with moderate to severe fetal anemia. Now the question is, how many of us are routinely checking middle cerebral artery PSV in RH positive mothers? And how many of the obstetricians are demanding for this finding? If one or the both of the above findings are present, we label it as massive. Fetoplacental blood volume is considered 120 ml per kg of estimated fetal weight before 32 weeks, 100 ml per kg of estimated fetal weight after 32 weeks. Most importantly, apart from the volume lost, rate of blood loss and chronicity of blood loss are equally important. Incidence, it is unknown because it is uncommon, unpredictable and non-specific signs and symptoms. As I said, we are not routinely checking MCA PSV in Rh positive mothers. That is probably the reason that incidence is unknown. It can occur as early as 4 weeks of gestation due to contractions of fetal heart. If there is ABO incompatibility between mother and the fetus, there will be clot formation which will limit the feto-maternal hemorrhage. But if there is ABO compatibility, there will be continuous hemorrhage with dramatic effects. So Devi and et al. Long back have proposed that placental clots are actually protective against feto-maternal hemorrhage. Clinically, it can present any time during pregnancy or at delivery. It is most of the times asymptomatic with no signs and symptoms. Decreased fetal movements is the commonest complaint with which a lady will come to you. Now, most important thing, none of us asked a lady coming to you with decreased fetal movement about transfusion reaction like symptoms, like fever, chills, rigors, rash, anytime during last 3, 4, 5, 7 days. It can present as unexplained fetal growth restriction. Suddenly you might get abnormal fetal heart rate patterns like fetal tachy or sinusoidal pattern. It can come as non-immune head drops and unexplained fetal demise. Acute versus chronic. Now all fetal medicine people should remember this. If it's an acute hemorrhage, there will be abnormal fetal heart tracing, poor physical profile and increased MCA PSV. I am talking about Rh positive mothers, not Rh negative. In case of chronic hemorrhage, there will be increased end diastolic velocity in middle cerebral artery. So in acute, increased PSV, in chronic, increased diastolic flow. There can be reversal of flow in aortic arch, right fetal heart enlargement. These are the risk factors which can lead to feto-maternal hemorrhage, like history of maternal abdominal trauma or fall. Again, many times these patients come to you that I have fallen from a bike. We just do growth assessment, Doppler Leica, everything is fine. We do not see for MCA PSV. In situations like where a patient has undergone external cephalic version, manual removal of placenta, amniocentesis, CVS, placental tumors, monochorionic, monoamniotic twins, we should anticipate feto-maternal hemorrhage. But 82% will come to you without any history. What happens when feto-maternal hemorrhage occurs? Most of the times fetal will try to compensate it, which will lead to fetal tachycardia, increased cardiac output, increased blood flow in umbilical and middle cerebral arteries. If fetus can successfully compensate the loss, the pregnancy can continue. What are the other sequelae of feto-maternal hemorrhage? If there is sufficient compensation, fetal heart rate biophysical profile can be assuring. But if there is no sufficient compensation, it will lead to unexplained FGR, non-immune head drops, sinusoidal fetal heart rate pattern, unexplained fetal demise, unexplained neonatal anemia. What are the indicators of fetal well-being in presence of feto-maternal hemorrhage? Periods of moderate variability on NST, occasional fetal heart rate accelerations, and reassuring biophysical profiles. How can we diagnose this condition? Very high index of suspicion is necessary in all these following situations: decreased movement, transfusion reaction like symptom, unexpected rise in fetal maternal hemoglobin, FGR, abnormal fetal heart rate pattern. Again, MCA PSV is mandatory to diagnose this condition. How to measure the volume of feto-maternal hemorrhage? The commonest and simplest test performed is Kleihauer-Betke test. Most of the pathologists are currently not doing this, but you can ask your pathologist to start doing this test because it's a very simple test where maternal cells are fixed to slide exposed to acidic pH. Hemoglobin A will dissolve at this pH, so maternal cells will appear as ghost cells and fetal cells will be prominent because fetal hemoglobin is stable at this pH. Minimum 2000 cells are counted, reported as percentage of fetal red blood cells in the total sample, converted to decimal fraction. Then volume of fetal whole blood in maternal circulation is equal to decimal fraction of fetal cells into 5000 ml, because 5000 ml is considered as maternal blood volume. Drawback is that it can overestimate in smaller women, underestimate in larger women. Another thing, lifespan of fetal RBCs in maternal circulation is shortened in ABO incompatibility and alloimmunization. And one more factor, it cannot tell you about timing of fetomaternal hemorrhage. This is another method of measuring the volume of fetomaternal hemorrhage. I won't go into the technical details of this. We'll come to management. Again, I will insist on very high index of suspicion in whatever clinical scenarios I have already explained, like decreased movement, non-assuring FHR pattern, FGR transfusions like symptoms, maternal trauma, ECV, amnio, CVS, placental tumors. Monitoring, advise admission to the patient, obstetric ultrasound for presentation, AFI, FHR, placenta, fetal growth. Even placental tumors can lead to this, so placental examination is must. Then Doppler assessment, again most important, middle cerebral artery peak systolic velocity. If it is more than 1.5 mom, it is indicative of fetal anemia. So we should advise Kleihor-Betke test on maternal blood. If you confirm fetomaternal hemorrhage, then delivery. If the gestation is near term or beyond 32 weeks, delivery by cesarean section, because the fetus cannot tolerate stress of labor. Now if gestation is less than 32 weeks, chordocentesis should be done and intrauterine transfusions are given to this baby. Then MCA PSV is expected to improve in next 24 hours. If it does not improve, we should repeat Kleihor-Betke test. If there is 5% increase in the volume of hemorrhage, it indicates continuous fetomaternal hemorrhage. So KB test has to be repeated. Then repeat IUT can be done. There are few studies in which they have done 2, 3, 4 IUTs. But beyond second IUT, monitoring becomes difficult because now adult RBCs are there in fetal circulation. Baby may need extensive resuscitation and transfusion, so we should keep everything ready at the time of delivery, and outcome depends on neurological injury. So then what we missed in the first case which we discussed? This is the answer. MCA PSV was 94.8 centimeter per second, equivalent to 1.76 mom for the period of gestation, and we missed it only because she was ORH positive. So what is the take-home message? High index of suspicion needed, decreased movement should be monitored with ultrasound, Doppler assessment and KB test. Must assess MCA PSV. In case of unexplained FGR, MCA PSV must irrespective of maternal blood group. If premature, intrauterine transfusions. If near term, delivery by cesarean section. Now a question, all our seniors can probably help us to find the answer. Should we assess MCA PSV with every growth assessment scan irrespective of maternal blood group? This is how a fetus with decreased fetal movement asks for help. I have no energy to move. I am struggling to keep my mom smiling. I am a fetus in the womb. I fear it may become my tomb. If only I could give a shout to make my doctor get me out. Thank you. These are my inspirations.